Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Channel Show. So, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, we are doing the Uno book tag. Now, this video is one of 29 videos that I'm doing for February 2026. 28 videos. It's not a leap year this year. And I did put in my disclaimer there at the beginning, just so you're all aware. That will be in most of the videos that I've done for February, or that I'm doing for February. There are some videos that are already pre-scheduled. My Friday videos had already been scheduled before I decided to do this experiment. So those videos all my normal Friday videos do not have the disclaimer, but I just decided to do this experiment to post every day in February just to see how things go, like I mentioned in my first video. And also yesterday's video, Monday's video, that was when I'd recorded and edited and scheduled before I decided to do this. But since it was like a free video, not a free video, it was one I already done and edited, I figured that would be like a good buffer to help me like get some of the other videos out. So with all of that said, we are getting into the Uno book tag. Now I saw this on Instagram, so I've linked, as usual, I've linked my video inspiration down below in the description. And I've also tagged the playlist that this YouTube experiment is for, like, not really for. I will link to the playlist that encompasses all of the February videos, or will encompass all of the February videos for this year. I've linked that playlist down below in the description. But now, to finally get underway with this book tag, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 prompts. I'm gonna get through them, and then, yeah, it's been a long day. The first prompt is skip, a book I keep putting off. For me, that is Malice. I did try reading this. I just think, well, now it's been about a year since I was in the midst of reading the Bloodsworn series, and I did start reading this kind of near the end of last year, and this does seem like it would be right up my alley. It's just, I think I need a little bit more time between the Bloodsworn series and this one, just for the length of the books and the series, of both of the series. So that is why I keep putting this one off. It's just because, like, it's so thick. Like, this one is probably about the same length as book 2 of the Bloodsworn series, but it's still a pretty hefty book for a first book. So that is Malice by Gwynne. And in this one, let's see, I'm not going to give you like the specific characters for this, but you get like the four main characters. The Banished Lands has a violent past where armies of men and giants clashed in battle, but now giants stir anew, stone and sweet blood, and there are sightings of giant worms. Those who can still read the signs see a threat far greater than ancient wars. For if the Black Sun gains ascendancy, mankind's hopes and dreams will fall to dust, and it can never be made whole again. So this is like right up my alley, especially with how much I loved the Bloodsworn series. I need some more time before I pick up this series. And this one's like a 5-book series, I think 4 or 5 books. So it's gonna be a while. And I'm also trying to give the descriptions of the books, because I'm trying to be better about that. So the next prompt is reverse a book I want to reread. For me, I've said this in previous videos, but I would love to read some of Natasha Lester's books. I would love to reread them, especially this book. There is a part of me that kind of knows I might not be able to reread some of her earlier books, and it's not in a bad way. It's not like it's in a very good way, but like I love this book, and there were some like I don't get triggered by certain content very easily, but like some of this was a little bit triggering for me, and it's like it wasn't in a bad way either, because it was just so well written, and I just felt so much for the characters that like I don't know if I can. So in this, New York City / Paris, 1942, when American model Jessica May arrives in Europe to cover the war as a photojournalist for Vogue, most of the soldiers are determined to make her life as difficult as possible. But 3 friendships change that. Journalist Martha Gellhorn encourages Jess to bend the rules. Captain Dan Halworth keeps her safe in dangerous places so she can capture stories that truly matter. And most important of all, the love of a little orphan named Victorine gives Jess strength to do the impossible, but her success will come at a price. France, 2005. 60 years after World War II, Darcy Hallworth arrives at a beautiful chateau to curate a collection of famous wartime photos by a reclusive artist. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, but Darcy has no idea that this job will uncover decades of secrets that will change everything she thought she knew about her mother, Victorine, and alter Darcy's life forever. And something that I do really like about Natasha Less's works is that they are interconnected. It's not a series. They're all standalones, but they are interconnected because of where and when they take place. Usually most of the timelines are around World War II, and usually in France / Europe. So you do see a lot of characters from the other books, which I always like seeing, because it's like, hey, like you're acknowledging like your other stories. So I always love that about Natasha Lesser's books. As of when I'm recording this, I still have yet to read the Mademoiselle Alliance, so I might read the synopses of her other books just to reacquaint myself with the characters, remind myself of their names, and see who's in the Mademoiselle Alliance. But we'll see. We'll see if there's any characters from her other books in that. But to move on, the next prompt is Wiles, a book on my TBR from a genre I don't normally read. For me, that would probably be Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I did get this recently-ish, within the past couple of months. And this, I think most people consider this like dystopian, sci-fi dystopian. Let me look it up. Genre. Okay, so just like a quick Google search. Science fiction, apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, and dystopian. Okay, I was right with the dystopian and post-apocalyptic. Apocalyptic, there we go. So those are not usually I do read a lot of sci-fi, not in like the sense of like space and like hard science fiction, but like I realize a lot of books that I have could be categorized as sci-fi, like soft sci-fi. It's not something for me. When I think of sci-fi, I think of like something like this, or more hard sci-fi like space and hard science fiction. There's a lot of stuff that could be categorized as science fiction though, so it can be a little bit of a loose genre. But this one, it's like dystopian, I can't say that word, apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic books like aren't usually my cup of tea. Like I tried reading The Hunger Games when they were first coming out, the books, like I just couldn't get into them. I have been thinking of buying the books though. So anyway, the Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, to go over that. It's kind of weird how on the nose this one is, considering like it wasn't written that long ago. It was only like 1993-ish, I think, when it was first published. But yeah, 1993. It was only published in 1993, and it's only like a 30-year difference, which 30-ish. which in the grand scheme of things isn't that huge of a time difference, but like 30 years is a lot of time to happen. So it's a little bit on the nose. To give you the description, when global climate change and economic crises lead to social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortage to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. 15-year-old Lauren Olamina lives inside a gated community with her preacher father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding anarchy. In a society where vulnerability is a risk, that she suffers from hyperempathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed, Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent disasters her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more: the birth of a new faith and a startling vision of human destiny. So there are parts of it where it's like it's a little bit on the nose, but what I will say is, in California right now, we're doing okay. We had the wildfires at the beginning of 2026. No, at the beginning of 2025. Wow, that was a year ago. We had the wildfires at the beginning of 2025. Not all of them wildfires, but we had the fires at the beginning of 2025. And then we get the election, and we had the inauguration, and we're doing okay in California. It's not as crazy as some politicians make it out to be. In California, we're okay. So anyway, this is one that's not in my usual genre. And then next up is Draw 2 books on my TBR. And for this one, I did do them as part of my series. And I could, like, this is kind of like a stand-in, a placeholder for most of the manga series that I'm reading. But I chose Apothecary Diaries Volume 5 and 6. And in this, you're following Mao Mao, who was kidnapped when she was out collecting herbs, and she was sold to the Inner Palace. And there she basically works as a servant, and then she catches the eye of one of the nobles, one of the eunuchs, who figures out that she can read and write, that she's literate. So that's Mao Mao's story. And again, this is kind of like a placeholder because I should be able to read these relatively soon in relation to this video and when I'm recording it. But like, I still have to finish this series, so it's like any 2 books within the Apothecary Diaries. It could be any 2 books within any other manga or graphic novel series I'm reading. So it's kind of like that, where it's like I do have to read these 2, and they're currently on my TBR pile, but it is also a placeholder for the other stuff. The next prompt is one that I'm kind of a little bit confused about, just because when I was trying to like look into this, when I found this prompt, I was like, when I found the prompt, when I found the book tag, I was trying to figure out if the creator or maybe like the poster interpreted this prompt a certain way. I couldn't find anything specific for interpretation of this prompt. So my answer for it is a little bit of a cop-out. Just because I wasn't entirely sure how to interpret this prompt. The next prompt is draw for a series on my TBR with 4 books. What I didn't understand was whether or not this prompt is if it's a minimum of 4 books, like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's potentially more, but it has to be at least 4 books. Is it only 4 books? Is it up to 4 books? That's where I was a little bit confused and couldn't really find a straight answer for it, or a definitive answer for it. With me, I did go with like pseudo 4. Again, it is a little bit of a cop-out because the series is on my TBR. I've read it before, but it is on my to be read every year since I try to read it once a year. And that for me is The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And it's a cop-out in the sense of it's on my TBR yearly and I read it yearly. But it's also kind of a cop-out because Tolkien didn't really intend The Hobbit as a sequel. It does set the framework and groundwork for a lot of what happens in Lord of the Rings, but he didn't really intend The Hobbit as a hard sequel, or not sequel. He didn't intend The Hobbit as a hard definitive prequel to Lord of the Rings, and he didn't intend Lord of the Rings as a hard definitive sequel to The Hobbit. So that's where it's also a little bit of a cop-out, but it works considering all the lead-up between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So in The Hobbit, you are following Bilbo Baggins as he travels with a wizard and 13 dwarves to help reclaim the dwarves' homelands. And in The Fellowship of the Ring, you're following Frodo Baggins, Bilbo's nephew and adopted heir. And in this, Frodo has set out to destroy the One Ring of the Dark Lord Sauron. So I'm giving the basics because at this point this series is so well known that you don't really need too much of a description for it. If you've done this prompt, if you've done this book tag before, and I'd love to know what your answers are for the draw 4, because, or how you interpreted that, because I wasn't sure how to interpret it. Considering like it could literally be anything. I interpreted it as like it's definitively hard books, no more and no less than 4 books. I don't know what I just said, but I interpreted it as it's 4 books, a hard 4 books, meaning it's not 3 books, it's not more than 4 books, it's not 5 or 6, it's 4 books. But again, this answer is a little bit of a cop-out. But with all that said, I'm going to move on. The next prompt is number a book on my TBR with a number in the title, and for me that would be 640 to Montreal. I do have quite a few. I have the 2 Towers, I have 6 Crimson Cranes, I have, where's some other stuff? I know I have some other stuff somewhere. Maybe I don't have other stuff somewhere. But I have other books, or The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre. I have other books with numbers in the titles, but since I got this one relatively recently, again in relation to recording this video and uploading it within the past couple of months, I wanted to talk about this one a little bit. I'm not going to try to pronounce the author's last name. I think it's Polish, but to go over this book, no Wi-Fi, no distractions, no way out. Agatha's husband has bought her a business class ticket on the scenic 6-hour train from Toronto to Montreal as a gift. A one-day writing retreat so she can get some serious work done on her new book, a highly anticipated follow-up to Agatha's runaway bestseller debut novel. The business class car is the perfect place to be productive with only a handful of other passengers, plenty of snacks and drinks, and beautiful views flying outside her window. But Agatha has other plans for her day out. Plans that are unexpectedly derailed when the train breaks down in the middle of the frigid Canadian woods, and one of Agatha's fellow passengers dies quietly in his seat. Soon, a pleasant morning in transit turns into a fight for survival against an unknown and unseen enemy. Will Agatha or any of the other passengers make it out alive? So, this one definitely did read. It sounds like it should be up my alley. I know I've talked on my channel before about how like murder mysteries sometimes don't always work out for me in book form. I do notice that Agatha Christie's works seem to work out for me, and when I got this, it was kind of an impulsive buy. I got it at the same time as The Parable of the Sower, and the cashier, the bookseller, was saying like, hey, would you want one from the stack of books? Like, you can get The Parable of the Sower 50% off if you get one of these. And I was looking at this one, and he had said that this is a good one for Agatha Christie fans. So I picked this one up. Again, it was impulsive because it was buy one, get one 50% off. And I am an Agatha Christie fan, so hopefully I'll like this one. And then last but certainly not least, the last prompt is 5, my last 5-star read. And I know I've had a few, but I kind of redefined this for myself and kind of specified this prompt a little bit more, because I've talked about it in previous videos where I tend to be a little bit more gracious with my 5-star rating. Gracious in the sense of like 5 stars, like really great, I loved it, may not have the best rating, but anywhere between like 4 and 5 stars is like I loved it. There might be some minor quibbles I have with it, but overall I loved it. It was a really great read for me. 3 stars means like 3 to 3.75, even to an extent 2.75. That means I liked it. I wasn't enthralled by it. Like, I may not have liked it, but I didn't dislike it. So that would be like 3 stars, and then at lowest like 2.75. And then anything like under that is like I did not like it. I don't understand why people liked it. I can maybe appreciate the writing quality, but I don't know why people liked it. So that would be like under 3 stars. So I decided to fine-tune this a little bit more for myself in the sense of what was the last 5-star read, my last 5-star read that had a pretty big impact on me. And for me, that book is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Jaysea Lynn. Now, I am showing my special edition of it. And I absolutely love this book. It was amazingly well written. I do understand, like, I have stumbled upon some not so great reviews of this, and I can understand why some people might be confused by this book. And I don't, like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword here, a double-edged knife, where you do kind of already have to be a fan of the Hellspell series on TikTok by Jaysea Lynn. But at the same time, this does stand on its own, separate from that series, in a sense, because it is a prequel to the Hellspell series, but it does also stand on its own as its own story leading up to that. So in this, you're following Lily. Words are hard today. They told her to go to hell. She went, but on her own terms. Lily isn't exactly thrilled with her arrival in the afterlife, but what awaits her there is more fantastical than she ever could have imagined. Deities stand in line at coffee shops. Fae flit between realms. Cells find ways to make death a new beginning. As she explores the many corners of her new home, Lily finds herself surprisingly drawn to a place most would avoid at all costs: hell. Armed with years of experience, of customer service experience, and pent-up sarcasm, Lily carves out a job for herself amongst hell's demons, directing souls to their rightful circles with more than a hint of sass. Lily's expectations are subverted every day in hell, especially by Belle, a demon general with a distractingly sassy voice. The two meet by chance and form an immediate, deeply healing friendship, and the undeniable heat between them threatens to combust. Meanwhile, something stirs beyond the boundaries of their world, threatening to destroy everything they know and everything that could be, unless they fight like hell to stop it. So again, it's one of those things where it does stand on its own, but if you don't have like some context from the Hellspell series, parts of it might be a little bit confusing. So that is For Whom the Bell Tolls. I'm so excited for book 2. We'll see when that comes, and I cannot wait for book 2. So that is the end of this book tag. I am tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do this. You can do it in a comment down below. You can do it in your own video. I would love to know what your answers are for these prompts. And if you want me to do more book tags like this that are like based off of like games, comment down below with which ones you'd want me to do. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.